Ask This Old House.
These trees not only provide flowers and shade, they give you edible fruit.
That's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Roger.
It's one of the most versatile tools you'll ever own, and I'll show you the key to great cuts with any circular saw. All right, so what I've done is I've just made two 45-degree cuts and put them together, and I have a nice 90-degree corner.
I love it.
And I'll show you everything you need to know about replacing your tank-type water heater.
That's next on Ask This Old House.
Hi there, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House, where the guys are working hard to answer questions about your house. We'd love to hear from you, so keep them coming. Hey, good morning, Tommy.
Hey, Kevin.
How's that inbox looking over there?
Actually, pretty good. I'm getting a lot of questions. People are writing in about which saw to buy. So I'm going to go down in my truck, get a couple, and we can see if we can help them out.
Why don't you get a couple coffees, too, while you're at it?
All right.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Good.
Well, Water Heaters 101 today?
Yeah, we're going to talk water heaters. You know, there was a time that a water heater was a straightforward replacement. Takes a plumber about an hour, but there's some new regulations that are going to make these water heaters more efficient.
That's good for homeowners.
It is, but it can make the installation a little more tricky. We'll talk about that today.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Roger, look. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you got here?
These came from a backyard orchard. We've got Granny Smith, Cortlands, and Max. Aren't they beautiful?
They are. All these came from the same orchard.
Right. You can plant a tremendous variety of trees, and that's what I'm going to do today. Is I'm going to go help a homeowner put in an orchard.
Oh, man, I cannot wait for that.
Don't bite it. Oh.
Well, Roger, thanks for coming out. I'm really excited to meet you and also excited to show you my garden.
Well, it has a real English feel to it, doesn't it?
It does. I think that the people who installed the garden were trying to, play off the feeling of the house, which is also pretty English.
Thanks for arranging the flowers on the lilacs, and the smell is great.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they heard you were coming.
So there was some planning done at this garden.
Yeah, I mean, we've only been here a couple of months, but the plans were really quite ambitious, but the last owners didn't really follow through too much on it. So we're really excited to keep going with the original plan and even go maybe a little further with it.
What happened out here?
Well, this is why I wrote to you. This was my vegetable garden, or a vegetable garden. It was really mostly bittersweet and wild raspberries and voles. So after a couple of weeding sessions, I just gave up on it, and I decided we needed to start over again with something else, so we just tore it all out.
Good idea, because it's so far away from the house. It's going to be hard to maintain. When you're cooking, you just want to walk out the door, grab a handful of oregano, and go back to cooking again.
Right, right. Well, what I had in mind, I mean, with all the wonderful things in this garden, it still lacks an edible component. So I was thinking maybe a couple of apple trees.
Oh, what a great idea. An orchard would fit in here very nicely. But it's not just about a couple of apple trees anymore. Come take a look, see what I brought you.
Oh, okay.
Not everyone has the area to have an orchard like you do. But if you have a flat wall, maybe the side of a house or a fence, you can take an apple tree like this. This tree has been espaliered or flattened, and you can see how it's been trimmed neatly. Could grow and give you apple trees even in a small space.
Yeah, well, I can see using that decoratively. I mean, I think it's beautiful.
Yep,
It's
almost
kind
like
of
a sculpture.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we have another one that grows really tight. Look at this. This is just the way it grows. This is perfect. It's going to have a small requirement of space, needs sunlight, and you'll have apples on this one.
Can you put that in a pot or like a big container
I
on
think
the
that'd
deck?
be a great idea, huh?
Yeah, it's cool.
But over here, we have what we're bringing to your house today.
I was hoping you were going to tell me this is what we were talking about, because I really like this one.
We have several trees that we're going to be planting. We have a mix of apples and pears.
Okay.
And the important thing is we have different varieties. We want to make sure we have cross-pollination here. We get cross-pollination, we'll get more fruit and sweeter tasting fruit.
Excellent.
But we want to lay these out, but I don't want to move them around. They're really heavy. I just want to bring them over once and put them in place. We're going to take some flags, put out their location, okay it, and then we'll put the trees in place. We're going to leave room for these trees to grow. We're going to place them 15 feet apart. That'll also leave us room to get in and do our maintenance. Okay. Right up to me. This tree dolly really makes it easy to move the trees around.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, okay, good. Magic.
Okay, we'll just let it sit. So what do you think of the placement, Julia?
I like it.
Good. Now comes time to plant.
Okay.
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line out so that we have a hole that's probably 2 to 3 times as big as the actual ball is.
It really needs to be that much bigger than the
It
ball.
really does. It'll be happy later
No
on.
cheating. Okay.
That's beautiful. Garden soil, right?
Garden soil.
Okay. I don't want to dig too deep, Julia, so let's check the root ball on this. I'm just
Okay.
going to cut open like an observation hole, and it'll allow me to find the root flare.
So what's a root flare?
That's where the stem comes down and flares out, and that's where the roots begin. And that should be right at ground level or a little above.
Okay.
So I found it here, but it corresponds to, we want to be right there for the top of the ball. So that means we're going to have to dig a hole that's going to be about 14 inches deep.
So we only have to dig a hole that's 14 inches
Correct.
deep.
Take that across and step on it. There you go. You want to take a measure down right there in that opening. What do you got? Go to the hole part, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're about 12 inches down right
All right,
now.
so we only got to take out a couple more inches. We're good to go.
Great.
Yeah, watch out.
All right. Want some help with that?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm a professional.
All right.
That look okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I like where it is. It's cool.
All right. Now we're going to cut open the ball. We're going to add some compost and loam and fertilizer and backfill it. Ah, there we go. All right, let's uncover the root flare and loosen this ball up. All right, you ready to plant?
I am.
Let's get some soil. All right, Julia, you got your shovel?
Yeah, right here.
Don't go anywhere without it. This is topsoil and compost mixed together. And it's really great for the plants, and they'll grow beautifully in it.
It's gorgeous.
So take and mix it together, and then we'll backfill. So we're going to give it a good soaking, which will settle the soil, get rid of the air pockets, and help the roots get established. We have a 2-inch round post and this chain lock material, which are going to hold the tree in place so that the roots can get a chance to get established. And then we put this hardware cloth around the trunk to keep the critters away. Once we get all the trees in place and watered in, we'll come back and mulch them. Then we'll put down some grass seed. And before you know it, you're going to have your own backyard orchard.
That's going to be amazing and so pretty. Thank you so much, Roger.
Circular saws, Tommy. A lot of questions and emails about them, and one of your favorite tools because it is so versatile.
It's very versatile, and I would say if someone is going to buy a saw, this is the first saw that you should buy because you can do just about anything with them.
All right, and there are a bunch of different kinds and a bunch of different price points, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it starts off with a small battery-operated saw like this with probably a 5.5-inch blade on it, up to a big boy here that we use a lot of. These are worm drive saws, which means there's a worm gear in here that turns the blade. You sit behind the blade, so you have a lot of control. A lot of guys don't like those, so they go to the sidewinder type, which has a blade that's direct drive. You can get it on the right-hand side of the motor or the left-hand side of the motor. It's really a matter of your preference.
And in terms of price, what is the range we're talking about here?
Whoa, the prices, say, start at $50 up to $400.
$400, really?
Yeah, they're all versatile depending on the size and the quality that you want.
Can I get away with a $50 one?
You can, but it's very important that you buy a high-quality blade for that cheaper saw.
Really?
It'll make all the difference in the world. So let's look right here. These are carbide tip blades.
Yeah.
This one right here has a lot of teeth on it, so it's going to give me a finer finished cut. You want to know the size of that blade, it gives you the size of the blade and the amount of teeth that are on the blade. It also tells you that it's a finished blade. All right, now look at the teeth on this blade. This is a combination blade, and this is a blade that we use a lot for framing. It's a 7.25-inch blade. It has 24 teeth around, so it's going to give me a much rougher cut, in most cases, faster.
So different blades for different uses, and not all just for wood. I mean, we've seen Roger cut masonry with these blades right here.
Yeah. This is great for cutting concrete, granite, brick, or even tile.
This is a diamond tip all the way around the edge right there.
Yep, and you can get a carborundum blade for cutting metal or plastic, all kinds of different things.
And you can do a lot with these things. I mean, you guys frame houses, obviously, with them, but I've even seen you make furniture with this thing.
Build the furniture. I mean, let's look at, first of all, the adjustments that are on this blade. Here's the plate that's on the bottom of the saw. And there's an adjustment right here on the back. So you can set the height, so you can cut whatever you want, whether or not you want to cut all the way through the board or bring it up, so you can just cut a notch or a groove in the board.
So if you were putting a dado or a rabbet in the board, you do that. And we've also seen you use this to put a miter on a cut.
That's right. Right here on the front of the saw, it's usually on the front of the saw, you can turn this knob here, set the angle of the bevel to a 45-degree angle, which will give me a 90-degree box. And like any tool, you want to make sure that you use safety equipment, eye and ear protection, and then make your cut. And I'm going to use a guide to run my saw to keep that cut nice and straight.
Plug that in for you.
All right. You got that?
I do.
Okay. All right, so what I've done is I've just made two 45-degree cuts. If you stand it up like that, you can see the bevel there. Put them together and have a nice 90-degree corner.
I love it. So versatile and great to have around on the job site. Hey, just like you.
A must.
So we're first-time homeowners.
Congratulations.
Thanks. We're thinking about home maintenance.
Okay, everybody is, I think.
Yeah, well, one of the things we're worried about is the water heater.
Okay.
We're a 2-unit, so this one here is ours.
All right, you're on the first floor.
Yep.
Okay. Well, water heaters fail someday, and it starts with understanding how old they are. So when I look here, this installer did us a nice favor. He actually told us the day he installed it. It was 06, so this is now 10 years later. But there's always a rating plate somewhere in the water heater that's going to tell you the date of manufacture. So here's the model and serial number, and I would guess that this was made in November of 03. So this looks like it might have been on the shelf for 3 years. Now, there's also a listing of the warranty, how long they expect it to last, which is 6 years. So you've got a 13-year-old tank in use for 10 that they expected to last for 6. So most people wait for the water heater to fail, and there's always a big hubbub, get us right over flooded basement and everything else. This might be the best day you could ever have to change this water heater out. All right, let me go to the truck, get some tools. To get started, I need to shut off the water supply, the gas supply, and drain the water heater. I'm also going to remove some of the old gas piping and the overflow from the temperature and pressure relief valve. Okay. We also had this gas line in the way. I'm just going to swivel this pipe out of the way just enough to ooch the water heater out. That should do it right here. Next, I break the galvanized flue gas connection at the top of the water heater. I'm going to reconnect to the hot and the cold copper water lines, so it's a lot easier to clean them in place and then cut them. Once they're cut, we're ready to take this water heater out of here. All right, Kevin, say hello to your new water heater.
Hello.
All right. So you were one of the first homeowners that come under the new energy guidelines from 2015. The government wanted to reduce the amount of energy that was lost from a water heater, and most of that loss happens in what they call standby loss. Here's this 40-gallon tank. He wants to give off its heat all day long to the basement. So they did it by making more insulation. So if you look, it's the same height. It has the same cold water line right here with a dip tube that goes to the bottom. Hot water leaves right here. Same flue connections. Gas piping is the same. The one thing that's changed is the dimension. So you can see the old tank was just over 19 inches. This is 22. So it means you've got total 3 inches wider, which means 1.5 inches more insulation all the way around and at the top. And that's a good thing. So you got a wide open basement, no big deal. There's a couple of people that this new law is going to come into effect for that's going to be some issues. Anybody that's got a water heater that's jammed in a tight little closet, or the people that have condos, sometimes I see them jammed tight in a closet. You're not going to fit them all. The other thing is that if you have a 55-gallon or larger water heater, they now have to be so efficient you can no longer vent them into a chimney. You have to use a non-metallic plastic vent, and sometimes that can really add to the installation. But you've got plenty of space, so it's no big deal for you. We also got you a 10-year warranty water heater. This was a 6, this was a 10, so it should last a lot longer.
Great.
All right, you ready to put her in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why don't you take this in? Okay. Follow me. Let me just dance it in. I got it. All right, so look at this now. Remember I said it was no big deal, you had plenty of space? Look at this, the flue doesn't line up, the hot and cold don't line up because the extra width gets in the way of this concrete pad that's sticking up above the floor. So it just means a little more repiping.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by reconnecting the gas. So I'll just dry fit the old connection to the union. And that tells me that I need about 1.5 inches. It's perfect. So I'm just going to put a little pipe dope on the threads. Okay, that should do that. A little bit of piped up on the face of the union, right like that, not too much. And this is the drip cap that goes into the bottom of the T. This is a vacuum valve that would allow, if I was ever trying to drain the tank, it would allow air in so it wouldn't let the tank collapse or implode. Okay. So with this flue pipe, we have a crimped end, and that has to fit inside this fitting. So I'll hold this up, and this part has to go over this crimp. So this mark should be perfect right there. All right, so this is the overflow, and that comes from the temperature and pressure relief valve. This is a really important safety device. If the tank ever got too hot or too much pressure, it would relieve, and they wouldn't want that relief to go onto somebody, so it has to be down to within 12 inches of the floor. Mm-hmm. All right, so we are done. It's now time to put the water back on. Listen for it. Okay, and while that tank is filling, I'm going to turn the gas back on. Okay, now that's on. Now I want to do a leak test on all those new connections. If there was a leak, you'd see a bubble coming up. There it goes. All right, gas is back on, water's heating up. I've labeled the first floor. I got the date of installation. You are good to go.
Awesome. Thanks, Richard. You mind throwing your autograph on there, too?
My autograph?
Yeah. You want to sign
Really?
it?
That might drop the value of this thing. All right. I don't think I've ever done that before. I'll see you in 10 years.
Thanks. We'll see you then.
All right, thanks for your help.
Your signature, really.
Really silly. I'm sorry. Just silly. All right, let's talk water heaters. You know, the new energy regs came in. I'm thrilled about them. They're going to make more insulation, make them a little bit bigger.
Right.
In that case, I had to add a little more piping because it hit that concrete on the bottom.
But if it didn't hit the concrete, you would have been fine,
Yeah,
right?
would have lined up and been fine.
Okay.
All right? Now, inside these things, they're increasing the amount of insulation, as I mentioned, from 3/4 to 1.5 inches, and that's great, both here and here.
Right.
But it's not going to make this huge difference because inside of a gas-fired appliance like this, it has a burner at the bottom,
Right.
a tank filled with water, and coming up through the middle is this flue pipe right here that has the flue products, right? So think about it, hot tank of water, ice cold air from the basement coming up through. It's just going right up the chimney. Much of the standby loss is not from here, but up the chimney.
So it's basically a thermos bottle. They've doubled the size of the insulation, but we still have a hole running right through the bottle.
That's right. Like leaving a tent flap open. You know, all the air's going to come out.
I get it.
So if you go up to over 55 gallons, you can no longer use this style of water heater. You can't use that conventional burner and chimney. Now they're going to make it so that you have to vent it through some non-metallic piping to outside, not into the chimney, and bring a second line in to bring air into for combustion.
Maybe that's a good thing, though, because the reason we have to vent it is because the burner's that much more
super efficient. And then when the burner's off, it shuts off, which stops some of this off-cycle loss through the chimney.
So we're going to pick up some efficities
there.
That's right. But it's still a big tank.
That's right. In electric, not much change here in the smaller units. Here's a standard electric water heater. You got an electrical element here and here. You got increased insulation. It's much like a coffee maker. You're trying to heat the water, okay? So not much change here up to 55, but over 55 gallons, you can no longer use this style. You have to use a heat pump water heater.
So you can no longer use the elements, those two elements. You have to use this monster right here.
So this is a tank underneath here, and then above it is a heat pump. And the heat pump is really like an air conditioner in reverse, where it's going to find heat inside the house, inside the basement from other sources, deliver it efficiently into here, and reduce the electrical cost by about 60%.
What's this guy, though, for? This is an element, isn't it?
This is the backup element in case to make sure you always have hot water. And that should be there as a backup. And this should be most of it done this way.
So that's super efficient.
That's right.
That's great. So does it affect all water heaters? Everything's changing?
Well, the thing that doesn't change is if you have a tankless or an instantaneous water heater. This sits on the wall, gas-fired, and when you don't use hot water, it uses nothing. You can't get much more efficient than that.
No standby loss, so this one's as good as it gets.
And when you do want to take a shower, you could do it for 24 hours a day.
You know, I'm going to start thinking about, if I'm getting pushed into a model like this, I might start thinking about putting something like that in there.
That's right.
Cool. Now, so how do you get a 10-year warranty? I mean, are you buying a 10-year model versus, I mean, I want a 10-year warranty.
A lot has changed. You know, in the old days, you had a 5-year unit, and you had a different 10-year unit. And the 10-year unit had a secondary anode rod. It was built a little bit better. Now it's 1 unit, 6 years warranty. And then you can buy an additional warranty from a manufacturer. And some manufacturers, to get the additional warranty, insist that you buy this secondary anode. Now, an anode's a sacrificial rod that sits inside. This used to be an anode right here, okay? And once that goes, this is what happens, and it goes south.
So that's how you get your extra insurance.
That's right.
In some cases, you're saying. What do the others do?
Some you're just going to buy an additional insurance policy for a couple $100.
So it's basically just a 6-year tank with a 10-year label on it.
Exactly.
If it fails, they'll replace it.
Absolutely.
Huh. All right, cool. Well, good information. And before you go, would you mind signing my arm?
No, I'm not signing.
Come on. Please.
Get out of here. How silly.
Next time on Ask This Old House.
Fan, lava lamp,
that's it.
Devices, everything plugs in here.
Everything plugs in there.
And she runs cords everywhere.
Cords everywhere.
I've got a brand new way to add wiring to a room and dress it up at the same time.
I discovered this issue right here.
Oh, yeah, that's not very safe. I'll repair this deck hazard before anyone gets hurt.
Ask This Old House has much more to show you. To see entire episodes anytime, just go to video.pbs.org and like us on Facebook. This Old House magazine, the companion to the television series, provides advice from our experts that you've come to know. You can use your credit card to order 10 monthly issues for $10. Just call 1-800-221-5900.